Once again, hello everyone, good evening, and a very warm welcome to another masterclass of Practical Cities. We hope you're doing well and are taking safety precautions to stay safe and healthy. Today, Practical Cities platform is happy to have Mr. Arjit Soni, the founder and CEO of MYBYK, under the theme of transportation and mobility, to talk on the story of MYBYK, a beginning of the cycle revolution in India. This is 28th masterclass in our series of masterclasses till now. Hello, hi Arjun.
Hi Chetan, how are you?
I'm good. So thanks for joining us today. So for the first time, we are having a young entrepreneur on our platform. The one who started a long-awaited revolution in Indian urban mobility. Those of you don't know what MYBYK is, it's the India's first bike or bicycle sharing and renting service, with a range of cycles from cycle for kids, adults, and also the duet cycle, which allows two riders to ride the same cycle. This is one of the most interesting models of PBS known worldwide. So before I go ahead, I want to share a small story with all of you, especially with our young audience present here. It's about a boy of around my age, your age, who studied hard and went to become a chartered accountant. Need not to mention that CA is a profession that is really valued and have very lucrative future promises. So moving ahead, he joined PricewaterhouseCoopers for his articleship in the office of Mumbai. During his days at Mumbai, he faced a common problem that 90% of Mumbaikars face every day, the problem of commuting. His hostel was in Andheri and the workplace was in Dadar. So like whoever knows Mumbai knows what that distance is. So he would never get a rickshaw or a cab to cover the short distance from his hostel to the train station and station to office. However, this boy decided to come up with a very uncommon solution to this common problem. He bought two cycles, not just one, two cycles. One to go from his hostel to the Andheri station, and the second one to go to office from the other station. This small step became the stepping stone of Gujarat's first shared bicycle project, MYBYK. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming the young, dedicated and passionate man who pledged for a healthier, greener tomorrow, Mr. Arjit Soni. Hi again, Arjit. So,
thank you, Chetan, for this lovely introduction. Thank you.
So we all know today we are talking about the beginning of a cycle revolution in India. So moving forward, I would like to ask Arjit, what made you step into this model of public bicycle sharing? Firstly, in which what were the studies or things that you read about that inspired you and motivated you to believe that this will work in India, in Indian cities? And what were you planning to do differently? So yes, Arjit.
Sure. So Chetan, as you mentioned in my introduction, I had an original idea to a problem that I faced myself. Commuting through the Mumbai locals, not getting a rickshaw or a cab at both ends, be it from Andheri to station and from the other to office. So it was a very quirky idea wherein, I should buy two cycles, one to go from my hostel to Andheri and park it there, and the second to go from the other to my office. And that idea stayed with me. When I went online to research about this idea, of course, I thought I can't be the only one who has thought about it. This is in 2010 when bike share wasn't a buzzword. So I didn't even know what query to put into Google and search for it. But, putting two and two together here and there, I figured out that this concept is not new. It's called bicycle sharing. And there are already two successful projects going on, one in New York City Bike and the other in London, Barclays Cycle Hire. Being a chartered accountant, I was really disappointed with their pricing. And on top of that, I got to know that they are hugely subsidized. They are getting a huge revenue stream through sponsorship, and yet it is so expensive. I mean, if you straight translate that into Indian rupees, then I thought the service would be too expensive for users. So that was the research I did, and eventually I did a business modeling around it. I figured out why the service is so expensive there and what needs to be corrected. And yeah, it was my own research through which I was able to eventually come up with the idea of MYBYK and have a different approach to solving the same problem. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Like a lot of thought actually going behind of why and how you can solve it. So, like even being an architect and practicing urban designer, I've not like had that insight sometimes of how an operator thinks when they are getting into the business. So that's a very new thing for me to know. So let's now directly dive into the presentation. Over to you, Arjit.
Sure, Chetan. So at MYBYK, our vision is pretty straightforward. We want to make our cities livable again. And as on date, we are present in 5 cities, Bombay, Kochi, Udaipur, Rajkot, besides Ahmedabad being the main city. We have a fleet size of about 6,000 plus bikes. We've done more than 3 million rides. We are also into campuses, IIT Bombay, and certain B2B clientele such as Reliance Refinery. So that's what we have achieved so far. These are some of the projects that we are currently working on. So Smart City Ahmedabad, Mumbai Metro, Smart City Udaipur, Kochi Metro being the B2C projects. Now, coming to the problem statement, I think it's pretty obvious. When we talk about urban commute, you can categorize the transport options into 2, private and public. And both have their pros and cons. Undoubtedly, private transport is more accessible. You know, your ride starts right from your home and takes you right all the way to your destination. But with the increasing traffic, with the increasing problems of parking and congestion, it is getting inconvenient. I don't need to tell you that. And that's where we have been talking about public transport and why its adoption needs to increase. But the challenge with public transport is accessibility. The first and last mile connectivity is what makes it less accessible, and hence, despite us having BRTS and metro, the adoption is not as much as one would want. So there's clearly a gap, clearly a need for a solution that can bridge the gap between the two, and that's where MYBYK comes in. So what is MYBYK? It's simply put, it's a bicycle. It's your personal bike, but one that you can drop at any hub and pick it up from any hub. So you start right from your home, you ride it to the nearest public transit hub, and you return the bike there. So it's available for anyone else to use. And similarly, wherever you get down, you pick up another bike and ride it to your destination. The product is pretty simple, as is visible from the slide. It's a bicycle on which you are putting up an IoT-enabled lock, and you're creating a mobile app to create accessibility for the same. The bike that we are using, unlike conventional bike shares, we are actually using a typical personal bike, of course, with heavy-duty components. And one of the key differentiation that we have compared to other bike share operators is we are using pneumatic tires. So from day one, we were very clear that we want to give user a bicycle experience that is akin to a personal bike, and a non-pneumatic tire would not give that same experience. So this is one of the biggest differentiation in the product that we have taken while solving the problem of first and last mile connectivity. Now, how MYBYK works is basically the first step is you have to subscribe and get the bike home. So it's a bike rental, wherein if you opt for a weekly and monthly plan, you get a bicycle. It works like your personal bicycle, and you can get it home. And then from your home, whenever and wherever you want to go, you can essentially divide your commute into 2 options. It could be a short commute or a long commute. So if it's a short commute, MYBYK works just like your personal bike. You can ride it right from your home all the way to your destination. But if it's a long commute, then considering India's weather and the public infrastructure, it's a bit difficult to go long distances on a bicycle. And that's where MYBYK gives this option of a drop and pick at any hub. So you drop the bike at the nearest public transit, use public transport, and wherever you get done, you pick up another bike and go all the way to your destination. So Chetan, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but what we are trying to do is essentially give a personal yet a shared mobility solution through MYBYK. If I may put it in a nutshell, what needs to be done is pretty straightforward when trying to solve first and last mile connectivity. But if you notice, what the world has been trying to do is a bit more complex. What the world has been trying to do isn't as seamless as what we have been trying to do, and that's one of the reasons what differentiates us from the other players. Getting into a cost comparison, and here we are trying to compare with a rickshaw, a e-scooter, and a shared rickshaw. You'll see that for a 1.5 kilometer average first and last mile connectivity distance, MYBYK turns out to be 60% cheaper compared to a rickshaw, and compared to a shared rickshaw, it's 20% cheaper. But what it adds is it provides end-to-end connectivity to a user, unlike a shared rickshaw or a scooter. And in fact, if you go with a monthly plan, it becomes even more cheaper. The service is available 24/7 and 365 days a year. So you, even if at 12 at midnight, you don't have to worry about finding a rickshaw or a shared rickshaw. And most importantly, while we are trying to solve the problem of first and last mile connectivity, we are trying to be eco-friendly and also trying to address the health aspect of the users. So these are essentially some of the advantages you get from MYBYK compared to other solutions. So yeah, this is how our station looks like. This is 2018. Earlier, when we launched in 2014, we didn't have this dockless bike share technology. So we started with a manned station, and that was clearly not a scalable solution. So in 2018, we came up with this brand new avatar of dockless bike share. However, while the technology is dockless, in order to ensure no theft and vandalism, and in order to have a better service reliability, we went with a geofencing concept, wherein we ensured that the users could rent or return a bike at specified hubs only. And while the technology didn't require a dock, but we still installed dumb docks to ensure disciplined parking, organized parking, and better visibility for the product. This is actually an image from our 5th anniversary. So at MYBYK, we do a lot of rides and events. We believe that is one of the best ways to spread awareness among the community, build a community, and best ways to market a product like this. This is again from 2014, riverfront, people riding bicycles for health and leisure essentially. And as you can see, the service is being enjoyed by all age groups, right from young ones to even the senior citizens. So it's a service that is accessible to all, enjoyed by all. This is one of the images from Udaipur. As you can see, a very active bunch of friends cycling together. So we have given people a reason to hang out, not just at cafes and gain calories, but actually on a bike ride and burn some. And this is one of our projects from Reliance Jamnagar Refinery. So we are really proud of this project because it's a huge campus, and we have 1,200 bicycles there, trying to solve the problem of intra-campus mobility. So this particularly is a special project for us. So yeah, that's it, Chetan.
Thank you, Arjit, for this wonderful presentation. Actually, I'm also excited. Like, the way I see your thinking is like, why don't you just take that cycle home? Start from there, which avoids that like last mile to the last mile connectivity. So
yeah,
very unique process, because worldwide, wherever you have PBS, that is public bicycle sharing, you normally end up having that last mile to the last mile.
Yeah,
it's another mode of transport waiting there to be utilized, like a public, any other public mode of transport. So that's very unique. With that, I would like to ask you some questions, but mostly have this conversation, because rightly and correctly, you've been identifying certain concerns and talking about them on your social media platforms. So firstly, I would like to ask, like, what has been the consistent challenge in convincing city administrators and public representatives that they need a PBS in their cities, or even cycles for that matter, even if not shared, cycles in the cities? And what do you expect in return from them so that this can sustain as a model?
Sure. So my experience working with the authorities, be it in Ahmedabad, be it in Kochi, be it in Mumbai, is that the administrative authorities are definitely believe in the fact that public transport adoption needs to go up, and that first and last mile connectivity is an important tool to achieve that. And PBS is one of the options to address first and last mile connectivity. The challenge is that political will is not there, and to get that political will, we need adoption. We need more critical mass, visible riding cycles on the roads. Now, the problem with critical mass is they say, where's the cycling infrastructure? It's not safe enough. So it's a classic chicken and egg problem that I've experienced working with authorities. And the way I am trying to solve, or I think we can solve this problem, is it starts with an operator like us trying to make bicycles available in the city. So first, creating distribution and easy accessibility and affordability to a service like PBS, I believe, is the first step to solving this problem. The second step is obviously getting people to ride these bicycles, be it for health and leisure. That's fine. You can't expect people to straight away start cycling to commute. It's a long-term process. So I think the first step is getting people back to cycling. And once you have achieved that, that's when that visibility is there, which helps in getting that political will. And once the political will is there, then the administrative authorities are already willing to, put in more infrastructure towards cycling, creating dedicated cycle lanes, cycle parking, curbing the speeds of cars and other traffic. So these are all the measures that can follow, provided we win the political will, for which it's very important to first get some critical mass behind us. Yeah.
So I see you raised three important points. One is availability of cycles. That is the first hurdle, and also getting people to cycling.
Yeah.
Is having critical mass. But for that, the basic problem has been the chicken and egg of infrastructure versus safety. So till you don't have cyclists, people say we cannot give you cycle tracks. And once because there are no cycle tracks, people say it's not safe to cycle around. So with that point, I would like to ask the second question, which is a very important one and which has been actively talked about everywhere. So which is how to provide this infrastructure. So what do you think is the best way to get this infrastructure out? May it be protected or segregated cycle track, or cycling pop-up lanes that has been giving a hype today in the post-COVID scenario as we're looking at, or in COVID scenario, when we want people to move in and cycling ensures physical distancing. That's why cycling as a mode has been talked about. So where do you think it should come, and what is the basic issue in its design as per urban designers and planners? What do you say? Yes.
So Chetan, of course, once you have built some critical mass to win the political will, and then the city is willing to allocate budgets for creation of dedicated cycling infrastructure, I think the first infrastructure that a city needs to invest in is dedicated cycle lanes. Now, I don't understand why when you talk about dedicated cycle lanes, does one feel that you need to really create it like a footpath? You need to invest and really create that kind of an infrastructure. It's just demarcating the existing road, putting physical barriers for safety and protection of cyclists, and that's it. So what I believe is that when you try to create a very fancy cycle lane, the city has limited budgets, and as a result, then the attempt is made only in a small stretch, which is not going to solve the problem, because unless and until you're providing end-to-end protection to a cyclist, he is not going to cycle it for commute. He will continue to cycle for health and leisure in the mornings and evenings when the traffic is not there. But if you are asking them to commute on a cycle, then end-to-end cycling lane is important. So one thing is very clear: we should all stop demanding cycling infrastructure from the cities if they are not providing it in the entire city in one go. Because if you do it in bits and pieces, then it will never work. I think we've seen enough examples of that. But when you're talking about doing a cycling lane in the entire city, of course, one challenge being the political will, but here we are assuming that the will is there. Then the second challenge being the capital to be invested in that. And that's where the pop-up bike lanes comes handy, because it hardly requires any investment. The road is already there. It's just about demarcating that road, creating a physical barrier, and you're done. And the beauty of a pop-up bike lane is that as the traffic grows, you can keep widening that lane without incurring any cost. Because you'll start with a very narrow lane, because the city would be aversive to giving too much of ROW to you. But once the traffic starts building up, then you have a strong case to present to the city that you need to widen the lane. So that's the beauty of the pop-up bike lanes. Now, coming to the design aspect of it, and I've been pretty vociferous about it online. I think before we create, we have the money from the government to create a proper, beautifully designed bike lane on the left. We should start with pop-up bike lanes. And if you're talking about pop-up bike lanes, then I believe they should come on the right side of the road rather than on the left side of the road, or say the median of the road. And why I say that is because if you see in India and the way our streets are designed, we have a shop and then we have some parking space in front of it, followed by a footpath. And then we have the road. So when you create a cycle lane next to the footpath, you are essentially blocking access to the parking available in front of the shop. So that's one of the unique problems to our country, because of which I believe creating a lane on the left side of the road is not ideal. Secondly, there's more, I feel there are more safety concerns of the left side of the road with frequent road openings. So if a cyclist is cycling and suddenly there's a road opening, no one's going to stop for a cyclist. So you have more chances of hitting on to the oncoming traffic, or you'll have to brake, so your speed gets broken and you have to pick up your speed again. There's more busy activity on the side of the road, so you have undisciplined pedestrians walking in the cycling lanes, and you have cars parked in the cycling lanes. So these are the challenges that I see on the left side of the road. And of course, through design, you can address them, but that design would be expensive and the government is not willing to shell out that capital. So what you do is you create a cycling lane on the right side of the road. The beauty of creating a lane on the right side of the road is it's linear, it's uncluttered, there is no hawking, there is no pedestrian activity, there is no water accumulation because our roads are tilted towards the left, so water accumulation is on the left but not on the right. It's generally cleaner, and as I said, most importantly, it's linear. The linearity helps in getting speed, and the day people get that feeling that a cycle is faster to commute than my vehicle is the day the critical mass will start using it, and the critical mass will be behind it. Once the critical mass is behind us, then we can obviously debate whether right is right or the time has arrived to shift to the left. But first step is to create lane on the right side of the road, and once the critical mass is behind us, the political will is there and the capital allocation is there, that's when we can rethink whether we need to shift that lane to the left of the road or not, but properly designed so that we don't have to depend on enforcement agencies. Yeah. The only concern, of course, and a valid concern, is how do you create a safe intersection design? But I'm sure with creative and talented urban planners like you, we can easily overcome that problem. I don't see much challenge there. Yeah.
From Zydus Hospital to Juggernaut. It's a wide road. There are 3 lanes. Plus there is what I'll say a service lane, which can say be used as a bicycle lane. Now again, the problem when you have lanes on the left side of the road is people take the liberty to park their vehicles. So it's not consistent. You have frequent interruptions because किसी का slope आ रहा है, ये सडनली व्हीकल आ रहा है तो मेरी स्पीड ब्रेक हो रही है, अगेन व्हीकल्स पार्क। इसी का अगर हम इन्वर्स इमेज ले लेंगे, वेर इन द 3 lanes are on the left side and the cycle lane is on the right side, it will work like an express path for cyclists. The priority that we want to give to them, they will get when the lanes are on the side of the road, on the right side of the road. Now one of the questions is, fine, going straight at this upcoming intersection is going to be not a problem, turning right is also not going to be a problem. What if someone wants to turn left, आगे left जाना है, so what we can do is we can have a cycle priority area here where people can stay here, and then when signal opens they enter the mixed lane, and by entering the mixed lane, whenever the next left turn comes they can take it comfortably. As this lane would be used by two-wheelers and rickshaws, and cyclists can easily ride that last 200-300 meters that they have to before making a left turn. Thank you.
So if I correctly understand, you're aiming to say is, yes, left is the goal, but the way could be through the right side, wherein you achieve it faster, you make it available for people start using it, and that critical mass forces the government to allocate good budget to make a safe and uninterrupted path on the left.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know that you have been discussing this with many senior urban planners and designers when you're working with smart cities and cities like Ahmedabad, and you have been having that backlash. So where exactly does that question always go and stop when it becomes non-responsive from the other side?
In terms of creating cycle lanes on the right, is it?
Yes.
So, last year in Ahmedabad, we were also participating in Cycles for Change, and I was part of the committee that was helping the authorities towards it. And the moment this idea was proposed, I got a lot of difference of opinion from other urban planners. Everyone citing that, we have been to Europe, we have been to Netherlands, nowhere in the world we have seen center lanes being done. It's always on the side. That's how it should be. And I don't deny that. But the point I'm trying to make is understand the limitation constraints of this country. You can't have put the onus on the enforcement agencies to make sure your cycle lanes are not encroached upon. You can't discipline each and every person that you are supposed to walk on a footpath, because we don't have proper footpaths in the first place. So he's obviously more likely to walk on a cycle lane because it's linear and it's clean and it's there are no hindrances than riding on a footpath. So the point I'm trying to make is, and it's been difficult to convince both urban planners and designers. I think authorities do find a merit in this because obviously what I'm trying to suggest is not expensive, so it's obviously more acceptable to them. But support from urban planners on this thought is a bit missing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's again a chicken and egg kind of fight. When one is talking about safety, one is talking about practical execution, one is talking about usability, and all of that.
Yeah.
Each other. So
I think what we miss out on is when we talk about dedicated bicycle lanes, while safety is the concern, for me, the bigger concern is speed. I think once you address speed, you can get critical mass behind it. And once you get critical mass behind it, you can address safety concerns in a better way, because addressing safety needs a lot of capital allocation. Okay. And capital allocation will come through critical mass. Yeah.
For audiences who might not know the term critical mass, it's about a large number of people doing a particular activity. So it could be walking. So you have seen dances, something that happened like critical mass around that. So critical mass in cycling is mostly about like lot of cyclists.
More people cycling. Yeah.
It's just simple as many people cycling.
Yeah.
So to see that happening, obviously the demand gets created, is what Arjit is raising here. Yeah. And I think I have a very genuine last question, which I'm seeing like in the sector of PBS. Currently, there are e-bikes also coming in. So how do you feel about that coming in one? And the second, do you feel that they can share the same cycling infrastructure as what active mobility cycles share? So yeah.
So I think in electric bicycles, there are two products essentially. One is a electric pedal assist bicycle, and the other is an electric scooter, a mini scooter or a micro mobility scooter. And of course, then you have high powered electric scooters, which can go above 25 kilometers an hour. So definitely they are definitely, we are not considering them for the cycle lanes. I think since our objective right now is about building critical mass, anything and everything, as many people as we can get in that cycle lane that we are creating, just to prove to the authorities that it's not going unutilized, I think it's good. Of course, as the traffic grows, and if we feel that the electric scooters, though they are under 25 kilometers an hour, and you find cyclists riding faster than them, are still creating some issues in terms of lane discipline, I think it's a problem for the future that can be addressed at the right stage. But for now, I believe any product any form factor that is small and that is under 25 kilometers an hour, I think it can easily coexist in the same lanes. The challenge in front of us is getting more people using that lane and not trying to be choosy who gets to enter that lane and who doesn't.
Yes. Okay. I think, yeah, that's great. Like, it was great to have you first and have those insights into the business side of this entire model, because what we always see is the design side, what gets executed on ground, but how to get it up there to fight mobility. Like ideally, as you would say, it's the revolution for that space and for greener future. So thank you, because mainly thanks for accepting the invitation so promptly, and also even being in difficult times to have managed to make this time for the masterclass. Thank you, Arjit.
Chetan, the pleasure was completely mine. Thank you for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share my views with the community and my learnings. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And also thanks to all of our viewers today who have joined us. And once again, to everyone, just have a safe and happy weekend. Enjoy.